In this video, we're going to show you how to set up the discussion board inside of Desire to Learn. The discussion board is used to facilitate peer-to-peer conversation inside of an online class. You can also use it to mark attendance for your week-to-week attendance and participation for your class. As you can see here, we have a couple forums set up, which are the darker gray background colors. And then we have a few topics set up. A forum is going to be your grouping or heading, and then topics are going to be where your students actually post. When setting up an online class, we usually suggest that you have a general forum or a general topic area where students can post any questions they might have related to the course, so that yourself and their fellow students can help answer their questions. This kind of cuts back on being bombarded with the same questions from everybody. If you have this general questions area set up that your students can post to, then a lot of that work is taken off of your shoulders and placed within the class. And a lot of times they'll get a response quicker from their fellow students than they would waiting on you to send back an email. Some other things that I have set up here is, for example, the weekly discussions. I have them required to post to the weekly discussions every week, and I can use that for my attendance grade. So to begin with, when you click on discussions, it'll bring you to this page, and then we want to be sure we set up a new forum. For the new forum, you can call it whatever you'd like. This one we will say project for the topic. Again, the forum's only going to be like a heading or grouping, so I don't like to put a lot of detail in the forum. I save all of the detail and information for the actual topic that's going to go under the forum, since that's where the students will be posting. You do have the option of putting a description and setting your availability dates and locking dates. I'll go over this more in the topic. So let's just go ahead and do save and add topic. The topic's going to look a lot like setting up the forum does. If you'll notice here, we have the drop down list for forum, and this will display each of my forums I already have created. We're going to do one under project and call this general discussion. For the description, you just want to type in a little blurb about what you would like for them to do here. You have some options of allowing them to post anonymous messages, and messages must be approved before being displayed. This means you would have to go in and approve them. If you allow them to do anonymous messages, just be aware that it can cause some issues if the student's posting something that you don't like. You may not be aware of who it is. So, with that being said, I don't suggest checking that as one of the options. Now, under availability, we have visibility, and then under locking options, we have locking options. Now, the difference between these two is visibility means if you set these dates and times, then only between March 13th and March 20th, this topic for general discussion will be visible to the student. Outside of that date range, then they don't even see this as one of the topics listed under their discussion page. If you do topic is visible for a specific date range, be sure you're checking these boxes to set that date and time range. You can also choose to just hide this topic. If it's one that you're working on and you're not ready for the students to view, you can come in here and just hide it, and then they won't even see it until you're ready for them to see it. And then you can always do topic is always visible. Now, under locking options, you have three options here. You can have it unlocked. You can lock it manually, or you can unlock it during a specific date range. If you do all of the setup in the beginning of the course and you want to just go ahead and set your dates, then you don't have to worry about anything. The system will automatically unlock this topic on March 13th, and then it will lock it again on March 20th. What that means is the student will still see it listed under the discussions page, but they won't be able to actually click and post to this discussion forum unless it's within that date range that you've set up. And then you always have this display and calendar checkbox if you want to add it to your course calendar. Moving on to the restrictions tab. Here you have two options. You have your release conditions and you have group restrictions. Release conditions means you can set it so if they haven't scored 100 on, say, a syllabus quiz or some type of quiz, then they won't be able to see or do anything with this topic. Always be careful when you're setting up release conditions, because you could essentially end up locking a student out of everything, and it causes a lot of headache for the student because they aren't aware that that's what you've set up. There's nothing in the system to tell them that they have to do this one thing before this other thing is unlocked without you going in there and doing that. And then group restrictions is if you've set up groups within the course, but we're not going to go over that in this video. So moving on to the assessment tab. Assessment is where you can link it to the grade book. If you want to give them a grade on their discussion postings, then you would come here to assessment and choose from the drop down list the item that you want to link it to, and I don't have anything for discussion, so I'm not going to link it, but if I did, I would just select it just like that. And then a score out of, you can do however many points you want to do here. If you only count it as 5 or 10 or 100 points, then you want to be sure you're putting that in there. Especially if you have it linked to the grade book, you want to be sure that you're using the same score out of here that you have in the grade book. Rubrics we don't use in the system, so we'll skip over that. And then messages. Here you can tell it how to calculate the score for all of the messages. So say they've posted 2 or 3 times and you want to take a combination score of all 3 of those postings, then you would check assess each message and automatically calculate based on the topic score. And then under calculation, you want to choose one of these options. You can take an average of all of them, the maximum score from all 3, the minimum score from all of them, and then you have the mode, either lowest on multiple or the highest on multiple. So depending on how you want to assess each posting, then you want to come in here and check those settings. And then you have one more checkbox down here to include unassessed messages and a calculated score of 0, meaning if you didn't put a score on a message that they had posted, that it would automatically mark to 0. And that is unchecked by default, so just be aware of that. And then the objectives tab we don't use because that deals with the competencies and rubrics in the system, and again, we do not have that set up. So clicking save to save all of those changes, and let's go back to forums topics list. That is one way to set up a new forum and a new topic. Once you've set up a new forum, if you'd like to add more topics, you can always come up here and click on new topic and go through those same steps again by choosing your forum and filling out all of the pertinent information. So that's it for this video. In the next video, we will go over how to assess your discussion postings for your students and how to interact with the system on posting and commenting.